Yeah. You are tuned into Offering Something. I am your host, Michael Bernier, feeling so good to be alive. That is for sure. You know I love you for watching the show. If you're checking it on YouTube, lean on that subscribe button for me, please. And if you're the streaming TV type, we're out there everywhere on the Plymouth Rock TV channel, Amazon 5, Roku TV, Distro TV, all of that. Yeah, here we go. Today we have a comical episode in store for you with a guest who is a comedian, an actor, an award winner, a national performer, a pursuer of passion, an ex-sheriff. Yeah, a loving father and a genuine human being who is hysterically offering something. It is my pleasure to introduce to y'all Mr. Juston McKinney. Yeah. Great. Hey, man, how are you?
That was great, Mike. Man, your intros are something.
Yes,
I think I want to make that my ringtone and put it on my wife's phone for when I call.
Come on, bring me on stage with you. Let me introduce you. Yeah. Well, thanks for being here, Juston.
No, thanks. Happy to be here, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you moving your physical body from wherever it happened to be before this to here.
Yeah,
that was nice of you.
It was, and like I said, you hear it outside. I don't know if they can hear it now, but it is thunderstorming, 60-mile-an-hour winds, and I risked my life, man.
Look at that.
Enjoy your life. You never know when it's going to end. It could have been on the way down here.
And it didn't happen.
It did not happen.
You're here now? You comfortable?
I am. I'm comfortable. It was 90 degrees here today, so it's a little warm, but it's all good.
All right. Here we go, digging in. Do you recall the first time that you looked at yourself and you said, inside the walls of your little mind, you said, damn, I'm funny? Did that happen?
Well, with my upbringing, the way I was brought up, my pretty
which was
dysfunctional,
how?
Pretty dysfunctional family
dysfunctional
life.
family.
Pretty dysfunctional family. So my mom died when I was 6 years old.
Okay.
So it was my dad. I had three brothers. So there was my dad, and there was
four boys.
Four boys.
Okay.
And
I'm familiar
my dad.
with this.
Yeah. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
And my aunt, who was my mom's sister, ended up moving in with us.
Okay.
And ended up with my dad.
Okay.
And brought two of her kids. So there were 6, 7, 8. There were 8 of us.
I see why you use dysfunctional. I would use a little wild.
And like I said, so when your dad and your aunt are sleeping in the same bed, and you're a little kid, and you're like, oh, that's weird. It used to be mom and dad. Now it's my aunt and dad.
Okay.
And I could remember, thinking, it could have been worse. I mean, if my dad's going to hook up with one of my aunts, better my mom's sister than his sister. You know what I mean? Because he also had a sister, right?
Yeah. I'm glad he went with the other option.
Yeah, he definitely chose the better of the two options.
So that's an unusual upbringing. I understand here.
It was and my dad was a big. Well, let me just say this. I mean, my mom was 29 years old when she died of a brain aneurysm, and him being left like that, and he already, I believe, was a drinker, but it definitely took it to another level.
Okay.
To where he started to drink.
Alcoholism
for sure
was involved.
It sure is. And not to jump ahead, but my dad now is he's been sober for 13 years.
Okay.
But he was homeless, living on the streets.
Went through the whole thing. Was drinking mouthwash.
Whatever he could get, whatever he could to get by. He was living in the pay toilet at a parking garage in Portsmouth, New Hampshire for many years. That's where he was sleeping every night. So we thought he was going to die on the streets,
You had accepted that ultimately.
Yeah,
you got to
we
that
thought he was
going to,
like,
that's it. I can't let my heart get too involved in that anymore, to that point.
Yeah. And an amazing story, and, it's funny, you have enjoy your life. I mean, his motto, he's always like, enjoy the journey, is what he and his twin brother always say. They're always about that. Enjoy the journey, And it really is.
The journey is the reward.
Yeah, it's all part of it, right? It's like, it's enjoy it. Mm-hmm. This is it every day. But we thought, he chose to do it. That's what he told us. But he waited until my youngest brother graduated high school before he let everything go. Like before he became homeless, he stopped paying the mortgage on the house. The house was boarded up.
Unhinged.
Yeah, he was living under a bridge for a while. I mean, it was crazy.
What did this do to your mind?
Well, I think it brought comedy as a mechanism.
All right.
Right?
You had to choose how to deal with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he was, once the drinking started, and then, my aunt would drink too, like more on the weekends. But then I used to say having two people that drink is better than having just one, because it's almost like having more than one dog. They kind of keep each other company. If someone,
try to get
they
you
go
involved.
off each other.
Yeah.
But there were nights where you didn't know if, he'd be drunk, take off in the car. You didn't know if he'd crash or kill. There's the fighting. The police would get called. It was the whole.
So it wasn't like a sit down, watch TV, get wrecked, drunk. There was some activity going on there and some stuff that was a little disruptive and destructive.
Yeah, I mean, it would get there. There's some jealousy stuff with my dad, you know what I mean? Because they were like then together. So there's a little about that stuff, And as a kid with my brothers and my cousins, like we would laugh at it a lot and try to laugh at it, as serious as it was, because it helped us deal with, a story I've told
coping mechanism.
A story I've told on stage before is, junior high. He was, he got mad at the bank, and first of all, I was born in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and then in 5th grade, we moved over to Kittery, Maine, which is basically 2.3 miles from my where I live to being in a whole other state, and I never saw any of my friends again.
That was it was all
once
over.
We went over the bridge, it was like, we can't go back over the bridge. Yet he went over to the liquor store over the bridge all the time in New Hampshire. Exactly. Yeah. He would go to the traffic circle. He'd walk over the high-rise bridge because we were right under that high-rise bridge.
Yep.
If you've ever been to Maine.
Yeah,
when you drive over the high rise, we were the first house on the left.
That's your jam.
So when I say I was the southern Maine, I was literally the southern tip of Maine. I was the most southern that you could be in Maine. I mean, you go up into northern Maine, they're like, that's not Maine. I'm like, you know what I mean? So, and when you grew up in Kittery, you pretty much grew up in Portsmouth because there was nothing in Kittery in the 80s. So you'd come over to the mall in Newington and you'd hang out in downtown Portsmouth. So we moved over there, and I'm trying to think, what was the
original question here was, did you have a moment where you determined that you were funny?
To get back on that, yes, sure. Yeah, we can pick this stuff back up. So I could remember thinking of funny stuff then. You know what I mean? Dealing with the bank. I was telling you the bank story.
Oh, we got to the bank. Sorry.
All of us comedians have ADD, so it's bad. So he was mad at the bank in Kittery time. We lived in Kittery. So I was in like 7th grade. Broad daylight. He runs down in his underwear, jumps in the car, pissed off, peels out. We're like, what's going to happen?
Wait, how did he? Why is he in his underwear?
Because he always rode. He'd be drinking, run around in his underwear. It was just kind of like
the whitey tighties traditional.
They were, tighty whiteys, but they were no longer tight or white. I call them baggy brownies.
There you go,
right?
A little sagging and they kind of yellowed out a little.
Waistband is going. Yeah. So he leaves. 5 minutes later, I get a call from my buddy Alan, lives across the street. He's like, "Hey, is your dad home?" And I'm like, "I knew he wasn't home," and because I just saw him, storm out of there. But I'm like, I'm not sure why, or so, whatever. And he's like, I think I just saw him throw a brick through the bank window.
Oh,
gosh. And the joke I made about it was, he did say he had some errands to run. You know what I mean? But at the time, I was horrified though at the time, Yeah. Because I didn't want everyone at school to find out, right? So there was all that kind of stuff. So I could remember thinking of funny stuff, at a young age. But the first time I've ever remembered thinking I might want to be a comedian was, I was in the library with a bunch of friends. And we were like, hey, what do you want to do when you're older? And I said I wanted to be a comedian, and everybody laughed. And I always remembered that. Yeah, it's like they laughed. I'm like, this is easy, right?
Yeah.
So I always remembered that moment. As one of them, and but then it was like, how do you go about even being a comedian? I never thought that I would actually pursue it until I got up into my 20s. Right. And I'm like, maybe I'll try this open mic thing.
That's my next question is here. So how does this regular kid from a disastrous home life, from Portsmouth to Kittery, in the farms, in the mosquitoes, go to big screens, bright lights, all of a sudden on things like Comedy Central, Tonight Show with Jay Leno, Tonight Show with Conan O'Brien, specials on Showtime, Amazon, New York Times saying you're destined for stardom. Like, did that just happen?
Yeah.
You were like, I did one show, and all of a sudden, was there work involved in this?
First of all, before I even answer that, the New York Times was wrong. Let's just say that. I proved them wrong. That was 20 years ago.
Them wrong.
20 years ago they said
that.
So the way it kind of happened was, well, first of all, I mean, my story is kind of a long one, but I got into law enforcement. I spent as a deputy sheriff in rural Maine. I patrolled for 7 years up there.
So when you had
in the woods.
started as the York County Sheriff, is that the title?
Yeah, it's a deputy sheriff up in Maine.
Sheriff
They
with gun.
With everything. They basically are the police for these small towns that don't have their own police department.
Yes.
So 14 towns, 500 square miles, there were 2 of us on at any time. We each had 7 towns apiece.
Did all the towns have names?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Acton, Waterboro, Shapley, Arundel, Dayton, Limerick, Leamington, all those to Parsonsfield, Cornish, people who know the area.
So when you're out there in your cop uniform, etc., at that time, are you going out and doing open mics?
Not yet.
I
was just doing the cop thing.
Okay.
I was just doing the,
So I guess we skipped. Why did you become a cop? How did that happen?
My Tonight Show with Jay Leno, I said I grew up around. I grew up all around all cops. Are always over the house arresting my dad. I knew all the cops. I got to know them all.
Yes.
But
I was looking for that.
Look. I mean, I really did it for the right reasons. To be a good. I got hired really young because I went in there and my dad didn't like cops, and my aunt didn't like cops, and all this. I knew a lot of people that didn't like cops, and it was almost like, how could I be the one who I wanted to be a good cop to where in my oral boards when I took the test. They asked me, I said that I treat everybody like you don't like cops. How can I change your mind? So when I leave, you're like, wow, that guy was really professional. Why don't you almost make you feel bad for not liking cops? Like that was how I kind of dealt with it.
Maybe I'm misreading this whole thing.
But I'll tell you.
Tell me.
Back when I did it, it was hard to be. The 200 people would apply for one job.
Oh gosh.
Now. They're not getting anybody to apply for jobs. So it's a whole different ball game now. But back when I did it,
you were like very choice amongst this group.
Yeah, back when for sure. Yeah, there was definitely any of these jobs. I mean, it was a tough job to get, and they could pick they could weed through people. Now it's like, everything. You know what I mean? It's like I feel bad, but I mean, look, we did a whole podcast on the state of law enforcement, but I do that. I did that and my dad. I didn't want to be in Kittery, a police officer there, because I knew that I would have dealt with my dad all the time.
You'd see his car and you'd be like, I could pull him over for a DWI right now.
Well, I didn't want to be near him.
Right.
And I had to, there was a warrant for arrest of my dad. Like it came over the radio. Got a warrant of arrest for your dad. He failed to appear in court. I had to go down and bring him in,
Hey, Daddy-o.
Huge pain. And I would hear about him I'd see another officer be like, your dad, I pulled him over. He couldn't even get out of the car. Like, that's how drunk he was. So, I mean, he could have killed somebody.
Yeah.
Like, he could have killed,
Yeah.
So, but for me to deal with that and having to, it was a little bit of, Dad, you're killing me here. You know what I mean? It's like,
Hey, it's some drastic dichotomy happening here.
It was, it's funny because, sometimes when your parent does one thing, you can either go, it's like, kids of cops, either they might become cops or they go the other way. They go the other way. And this is my dad was, so if my dad had been a cop, maybe I would have been a criminal. You know what I mean? Maybe I'd be robbing banks.
You could have been throwing bricks through banks.
I could have been throwing the bricks. Exactly.
There it is.
So anyway, while I was doing that, I'd always wanted to try stand-up. So after I'd been on for a few years, I went down to Boston, did an open mic at Stitch's Comedy Club.
Yeah.
Didn't tell anybody. I just go down and do 3 minutes, and it actually went surprisingly well. Like, I was like, wow, this actually went better than I thought. So the next time I sign up again to do it 6 months later, and I tell everybody. So I got 30, 40 people come down to just watch me.
Wow.
I go up and do a new 3 minutes.
All Mainers and Portsmouth people.
People from the Seacoast.
Yeah.
It did not go as well. Like, it was like I was dropping F-bombs because I just was. It was. You
went into panic. It was like
wasn't
blackout
working.
mode.
I'm sweating. It just didn't work out. I mean, it was funny because the guy hosting, this guy named Vinny Favorito, was
That's a great name.
It is a great name. It is a great name.
It is.
I go up there, and I thought it'd be funny to wear a sport coat And you know how when you buy a sport coat, it still has the tag on it that you're supposed to take off after you buy it? It's like on the outside of the arm. Well, I kind of left it on because I thought I'd do a joke about that on stage. I don't even remember what I said, but it didn't really work, right? So anyway, I'm swearing, dropping all these F-bombs. I'm sweating. He goes to take me off stage, and he goes, Justin, he goes, next time, he goes, why don't you try throwing a few fucks in there? Maybe that'll get him. Right? Like he totally craps on me. The whole place laughs, right? And then he goes, what's with this? He goes, that didn't work. He like pointed to the joke I tried to do about the thing that didn't work. And then he's making fun of my jackets. And I go, well, what's with this? Giggle. And he had a jacket on that said Giggles Comedy Club. And he goes, yeah, it's a place where I get paid to do comedy. Like he slams me again. So boom, boom. He double slammed me in front of like all these people I know.
The funniest part of your set was the
him.
end where you were quote unquote getting roasted by Vinny Favorito.
Roasted.
So did you communicate with Vinny after this?
No, I mean I liked the guy. I mean, to be honest, I mean at the time,
relationship ended at this point though, slightly terminated.
No. I still. I mean, look, I took my. But here's the thing about it, Michael. So I did a new 3 minutes. I'm standing in the back of the room going, what just happened? You know, it's humiliating. What just happened to me? A guy goes on stage that had gone on with me the first time. He does the same 3 minutes he did 6 months ago, and I'm in the back of the room going, you can do that? Like, I didn't know that you repeat material and you work on it. So if I had known all those people, and I could have done the same 3 that already worked, instead I'm like, let me write a new 3.
Totally new 3 minutes.
It is hard enough for a professional comedian to go just try a new 3-minute bit.
Just mixing them in, throwing in the new ones, see what happens around the legendary jokes.
As I say that, it's so short, but man, that's a long time when you're starting.
Yeah, we're just looking at you and you're like supposed to be funny.
Yeah. It's crazy. And not only are they looking at you like you're supposed to be
man.
funny,
Let's go.
They want you to not be funny. Like secretly. Some people want you to not be funny.
Well, it's either I want him to be hilarious or just I'm enjoying this guy flopping. Oh my God, this is like awkward. I love it.
The car crash. You can't look away. You know what I mean? It's like everyone.
Oh my God, is he serious?
And everyone that is thinking maybe I should try comedy and then they see that happen, they're like, oh, I'm glad I'm not trying it. You know what I mean? I'm enjoying this. That could have been me, you know?
Yeah.
So that was the beginning of when I think I said, I'm not going out like that. I'm not letting that be the last time I perform.
Okay.
And I said, I'm going to, pursue this more. And I was part-time still working up there at the, and I moved down into Peabody, Mass with my uncle. Oh, wow. And I would drive back up and do some shifts still once in a while. I didn't leave the department until 97.
195, boom, you're there.
It was about, believe it or not, Peabody, Massachusetts, up to where I patrolled. I think it was like an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Hour and 20 minutes. It wasn't that far. So I just started doing whatever I could in the Boston area. And then the way I got into New York City, which is where my career went to the next level, was this comedian Al Ducharme told me about this guy that ran Stand Up New York Comedy Club.
Yep.
And he was looking to manage people. So I sent him a tape. The guy called me up and said, hey, I want to manage you. Come down to New York. Yep, VHS tape. Yep. And so I go down to New York. I met him, wanted to manage me. He goes, look, you can work my club. And I didn't sign with him just because it was too new. I didn't want to do anything right away. Yeah. But in that little bit of time, you're talking 97, 98, I started going down and I started getting in at, Comic Strip Live and Dangerfields and all the clubs down there.
Building
the Comedy Cellar, the Boston.
Like becoming a part of the scene and understanding the underlying layers. Yeah.
And that's where I found my agent, my first agent that then took me to...
How did he, so did you have some point of success in Boston that you were like, all right, now I can start to focus on getting out of Boston like everyone else does, or...
I was having success in Boston in that I was getting paid work at all the clubs.
Okay.
I wasn't headlining or anything, but I was getting paid work. And
you were doing more like 12 minutes at this point.
Sometimes even 20, 25, even some 30s, you know what I mean? But I started doing...
What are the Boston rooms? Because there's a lot of people from Boston that watch this show. What are the outside of Stitches when you start doing well in Boston?
When I started doing them?
Yeah.
There was the Comedy Connection was in Boston. There was the Kowloon, which is still there. Then another one opened up, the Comedy Palace.
Look at that.
Opened up in Andover. That's actually where I met my wife.
Wow.
Yeah. That was the worst set I ever had. That's the one I bombed. That's the one I'd like to have back.
Really?
Well, I mean, I've been with her for 25 years now, so I'm still bombing. I'm still bombing from that set. I wish no, seriously, I did well that night. I wish I didn't sometimes. I'm kidding. If she's watching, I'm kidding. But
a lot of truth is said in jest there, hun.
But But yeah, so Boston was good to me, but it was getting then the plan was, because I left, I resigned.
Yep.
From the sheriff's department, and I was like, I'm gonna go down to New York now, because I was gonna be in New York, and I went all in, and pretty fast in New York. Things happened for me really fast in New York, because we're talking like 98.
Let's talk about like the key things that got thrown at you there. So you're in this Dangerfield scene, you're doing these clubs, you have your agent/manager guy that you didn't sign with, and then what's the first thing that happens that elevates you from that circle? Like, oh wait.
Well, it elevated me from that was there was it was funny because I did a college NACA conference. What's that? It's the what is campus activities? You know of it?
Yeah, I'm familiar with this. There's similar programs for like the music stuff.
Yeah, so I went and did that where you're performing for hundreds of people that book for all the talent in this particular region. I did the New England region, and I had one of the best sets I'd ever had in my life. Standing ovation at this thing. Booked like 150 colleges. So that gave me the money to go down. That was a good moment. Yeah, that was the first moment where I'm I got some momentum, right?
Yes.
So my college agent,
I feel that moment. Carry on.
You can feel it, right?
Yeah, I can.
So my agent hooks me up with this commercial agent from Don Buchwald Agency, which is Howard Stern's management company, right? Wants to see me and about possibly for commercial auditions. She goes, do you work any of the clubs? At the time, I wasn't really working the clubs yet because I hadn't even landed there. Yeah. She goes, I'll get you a spot. I haven't even moved down there yet. I'll get you a spot at Comic Strip Live. So she gets me a spot that night. Well, that night, Lucian Hold, the booker, is in the room watching because who's this new guy getting watched by this agent?
Exactly.
I have a good set. I come off stage. She wants to sign me. He passes me at the club. He's pretty much, I'm like, I'm not here yet. He goes, well, when you're here, I'll give you spots, So I'm like, all right, I'll be here in, a month or two, whenever I came. So that happened. And, and
like
then
immediately when you came off the stage?
Yes. Yeah. It happened really fast. And then, so now, look, about positivity and about life.
I love it.
Confidence
I love it.
brings confidence, brings things, good things. I was so confident after that I there was a club called Caroline's Comedy Club on Broadway. Caroline's on Broadway, and I asked my buddy Tom about it. I'm like, hey, what's the deal with this guy? I don't really work there. The guy's blah blah blah. So I'm like, hey, what do I got to lose? I call the guy up. I'm like, hey, I'm down here and I'm doing this at the Comic Strip. I'm doing something here. So he goes, oh, you're from Boston. He goes, why don't you come down? I'll meet you tonight. So he goes, I sit down. He meets me. He goes, you want to do 15, 20? I don't remember if it was 15 or 20. He goes, you want to do it tonight? I go up. I wish I was live. I go up. I do my set. I come off stage. He goes, I want to book you for a whole week. So I wasn't even down. I had the Comic Strip, Stand Up New York with the manager, and Caroline's. 3 clubs.
Do you remember going home that night and lying down in your bed and just like going, is this real?
I just remember thinking this was kind of my plan. This is, everything was lining up.
So nice.
So cut to, I get I got a Comedy Central spot on Premium Blend was my first TV spot. That was like 99, whatever that was. But my agent, because people were talking about me or whatever, so I got an agent out of LA, from UTA, United Talent Agency. Then she's like, I was doing stuff about being a cop at the time, material about that. Yeah. She's like, I want to set you up with these meetings. So I ended up getting development deals.
The whole how to not shoot a deer bit.
Yeah. It was all that stuff. So I ended up getting a CBS. I had development deals, Warner Brothers, back-to-back years.
All of a sudden you're on The King of Queens.
Nope, that was later. That was before the meltdown. There's bad news coming. There's bad news coming. Everybody.
Let's keep it riding for now.
This party's gonna end fast, and that brings me to why I'm in this garage right now, sweating.
Oh golly.
So long story short, I signed these big deals, 6-figure deals. I've never had money in my whole life. I meet this waiter at Dangerfield's Comedy Club. He's a part-time stockbroker in 99. I slowly end up giving this guy all my money. I didn't buy property. I bought a leather jacket, and that's it. I have a Honda Civic, a tree fell on it, and I painted it myself. Like I had a guy in a parking lot at the Vaughn supermarket, like just fix it for me. So long story short, I lost all of that money. This is right around the time New York Times said I'm destined for stardom. That's when that came out, 2000. So here I am. I'm sitting with hundreds of thousands of dollars. The New York Times tells me I'm destined for stardom. I got Comedy Central special, all this. I completely lost all that money. So now in 2000, I literally went off the deep end. Like literally like done. Like I was so depressed. So as I moved to Los Angeles in 2001, I was, had lost. I had $10,000 left. I put it in a retirement account. I had 10 grand. I just put that in a retirement thing, so I got something, right? Yeah. And I had to claw out of that because I was like, and sometimes to this day. Yeah. I still will think, what happened to me? Was I 29? I was 29 years old. I was set up. Everything was, all I had to do was buy property. I could have rented it to comedians. I could have done my thing. This threw my whole thing off the tracks.
So can you ever fully mentally recover from that?
I still haven't recovered from that.
So many what ifs. And I'm really, sometimes I get upset with myself that here I am, I lost my mom at 6. Yeah. That should be the most tragic thing that ever happened. But what feels like the most tragic thing that happened is the fact that I squandered it. Like 20 years later, I still think I'm living it right now. I mean, everything I do, every choice, everything I get. And this is what also... So my dad at the time is homeless at the time, and he found out, I lost all this money from this waiter that gave me the tips. He goes, we're supposed to give waiters tips, by the way, not take tips from waiters, by the way. I learned a valuable lesson there. So my dad says to me, he goes, why didn't you ask me what to do with the money? I'm like, you were living outside under a bridge in the pay toilet. I'm sorry I didn't think to ask my dad what to do with $500,000. Dad, what do I do, Dad?
So long story short, the place I lived at in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
The landlord literally, I talked to her about buying the place. It was a 2.5 family in Astoria, Queens. This is in 2000. I had the money to buy it. I could have bought it. Thing's worth $2 million now. But I could have bought it right then and there. But
still
instead,
checking the worth.
Look, not blaming the wife, but she's involved in the decisions. She said, do you want to buy? Then you're kind of stuck here. So I didn't know where I wanted to be. So I'm like, let it ride in the market. It was going up in the market at the time. It was going up.
It's cruising.
The tech boom, the .com boom. So long story short, didn't do it. So when I ended up in 2001 in LA, after squandering that, it's sunny every day, and I was so depressed. Like just walking around, just thinking like, what did I do?
Were you a miserable person to other people, or did you keep it inside of yourself?
I kept a lot of it in. Okay. I kept a lot of it in, but I was definitely, depressed. So,
was there therapy involved? Were you seeing a therapist?
There was no therapy. I did not see a therapist in 2010. And that was another trigger that set me into therapy in 2010. So it's been a journey. Like it's been a emotional, it's been challenging at times. But I mean,
how do you release that aggression now in a healthy way? There's definitely aggression associated with it. I could see it clenching the table when you tell the story.
No, I don't have aggression.
There is aggression.
I don't have aggression.
Okay.
No aggression. It's just more sad depression. Okay. And you know what I mean? Definitely no aggression. Having my dad, I don't have I'm very, very light drinker. I don't have any of that stuff. I don't have, I'm not a yeller. My kids now are obviously the best thing in the world. And
I'm glad you're not a yeller. I didn't take you for a yeller.
No, I'm not. I'm a very, I just look back and go, what happened to me? And to continue with the story, so all I ever wanted to do was get the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. That was my one goal when I started stand-up. It wasn't even about getting the deal in the TV show and all that stuff. It was about getting on the Tonight Show. I got offered the Tonight Show in 2002. So this was a year after my thing. When I did the Tonight Show, that first time, it should have been the highlight of my life. I was so depressed that I can't even watch it. Like, because I'm not even being me. Like, that material, I would have loved to have done it again. Like, when I was in a better spot. So
you really, when you watch it, it makes you cringe.
I can't even watch it. It just makes me cringe. I'm looking like I'm not having fun. I'm not being me. Yep. I'm just doing jokes, but it's weird. It was a weird connect. So, and that was the big break that I waited for. And so...
As far as the actual side of, like, in your head, how did that go?
It was good. It was put it this way. They asked me back.
Okay.
So he had me. I went over to the couch, talked to him, and then he had me back again.
Okay.
So by 04, I mentally was in a better spot. I started to claw out a little bit.
Yep.
Okay. I do the Tonight Show again in 04. So this is when I did it again.
Were you getting gigs and there was money coming in again and you were...
Yeah, touring, headlining, right. Started headlining, I was headlining the National, the Funny Bones and the Improvs and stuff. I was doing all that because I'd already done Leno once and, I had Comedy Central appearance and stuff like that. So I was starting to claw back out of it, okay?
Yeah.
My second Tonight Show was Way better. For me, I just had way more fun.
You can watch it.
It's fun. I can watch it, but now, I mean, one of the bits is about MapQuest, so it like dates me. It's like, it's an old bit, and it's about computers. I'm talking about how computers have like 14, like the megabyte. You know what I mean? It's like it's crazy. You watch the big. When was this guy born in the 60s? Yeah, how old is this guy? So other than that, but anyway,
you look good for 65.
I know this poor guy. So I claw out of it.
Yep.
And 04, 05, 06, I start clawing out of it. Well, my wife, we get married in 04. She wants to start a family, right? We think
I like how the voice starts to change a little bit.
We're gonna.
Here we go.
We're gonna.
We're going there.
We want to buy property so we can start a family. Well, in 06, if you know about the real estate market at all, it was the absolute peak of the peak. That big first peak. It was in August of 06. We're looking at LA. Stuff is $500,000 for a 2-bedroom, right? So it's like, all right, we got to go more east. We end up in New Hampshire. Okay, that's how far east we had to go.
That's pretty east.
To get something. Yeah. And the kicker, the exact price that I paid for my house in Newmarket, New Hampshire, is the exact ththing I could have bought the Astoria one. It was $370. It was the exact amount. $370 in 99 and $370 in 06 got me a house, colonial house in Newmarket, New Hampshire.
Not making you any money here.
So it was. I mean, I'm like, really? It's got to be exactly the price. And no, actually, you know what? It was $370 is what the place in Astoria, and this person wanted $389 in New Hampshire, and I put a bid in at $370. I'm like, I'm not budging. I'm not paying more than I would have paid for the place in Astoria. No, I can't do it.
Gosh. Yeah.
So they took the offer. We moved back. I had a pretty good run for 4 or 5 years back
in New Hampshire. Where are you? Where exactly in New Hampshire? Can you reveal that, or you don't?
Yeah, Newmarket, New Hampshire.
Newmarket. Okay, yeah. We said this. Yeah.
It's so basically.
You had a pretty good run for 4 or 5 years before I interrupted.
I had a good run getting stuff like I did a Comedy Central half-hour special. I did a Comedy Central 1-hour special. I had a development deal with Comedy Central for an animated show.
What?
And I did The Tonight Show with Conan O'Brien in 2010.
2010?
Yeah.
Conan O'Brien.
2010. Remember
How was that one?
Well, you remember when he had The Tonight Show for a year, right?
Yeah,
remember when Conan, Leno, they took it from Leno, gave it to Conan?
Yeah.
So... This is another trigger that got me into therapy.
What happened here?
So I go to do. They want me to do this. I almost did it in December of 09. They called me up. They go, "We love your set. They want you to do it now. Can we push it up?" And I'm like, Christmas. Let's just keep it January. Let's keep it January. Let's keep it January of 2010, right? So I show up. I'm talking to the booker in the green room, right? He opens up about. He starts that talk. We start talking about my deals and this stuff. So I start going down the path, the rabbit hole of the money I lost.
Revealing all
of this before I'm about to hit the stage.
Laying it out there.
So I'm going into a hole. And this is, Ray, you talk about energy and like positive and how negative thoughts bring negativity,
you're
right?
Walking out there like.
Oh, it's worse than that. Okay. Because the unknown to me. Because I was so caught up telling this story about how my whole life unraveled. Unknown to me, it was college bowl week. So everyone in the audience was a college kid, all dressed up in the whatever the team is, stuff, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
my opening line is, I'm at that age where all my friends are having kids now. Like, it's totally not a joke I would do for that group. Yeah. So now, in my head, as I hit...
You haven't seen the audience until you walk out there? Is that what's happening?
I have not seen them, and I know nothing. Nobody tells me anything. I didn't look. I didn't think. I didn't care, right? Whatever. I would have called an audible. But I was in such a mental state because I was in the green room for an hour talking about where my life was going.
You weren't on it, all right, I'm going to crush this.
Well,
Here we go.
not only that, when they approve a set, they don't want you to go off of that. They
not
approve
too much
your
variation,
set. Exactly. Yeah. So now I'm like, there's this, I don't want to say deer in the headlights, but there's this little bit of a deer, where I'm like, oh my, you got to be kidding me. In a million years, I wouldn't do this.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, I do that set, and it was good. It was a good set, but it wasn't what it would have been.
Right.
It wasn't what it had been.
College audience.
It was that. It wasn't it was just, I wasn't just on. So anyway, that is what put me into where I said I got to go talk to a therapist.
I need some help
about
because
dealing
I'm
with
unraveling my entire life story to random human before I'm about to go on the Tonight Show, instead of being like, all right, I'm in this moment, I'm loving life, I'm going to get out there, own this. Yeah.
I wasn't doing any of that.
I lost all my money. And
yeah. I did this. I would have done that, and look, and I was only back there. So here's the bulk of what a lot of my problem is. I wish I would have stayed. It's all the woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? Which is what I do, which is not a good way to be.
It's not a good thing.
It's not a good thing. It's
Everything's
the worst.
happening in that direction,
and
which is forward.
The power of now. It's the power of now, and it's the power of tomorrow, right?
Yes.
It is such a waste to even think 2 seconds, spend an ounce of energy thinking about it. It does no good. But I don't care how many times you tell people that. It doesn't mean everybody can do that. You do what I say, know what I do, right? So, in hindsight, if I had stayed another 5 or 6 years, all that momentum I had from 06 to 2010, I would have parlayed that, I believe, into more. Everything parlay. It's all who you know.
That.
It's all you mentioned.
You're in the network.
You
now.
mentioned the King of Queens. I mean, I got that. I was in LA. I got the King of Queens. I'm back in New Hampshire. I bumped into one of the guys that I knew from that group, and they're like, "Oh, we should have thought about you for Mall Cop." You know that huge movie Mall Cop.
Exactly.
They didn't. I was out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, guys in New Hampshire.
And you just never know. Does that one little thing lead to then this? It's all about connections and timing.
You have to, yes. You got to be on the scene. Then the opportunities present themselves. You meet the people. You know how that. Yep.
So anyway, I mean, look, I don't know where this story ends. I mean, other than it's just crazy, and I feel bad about it. Not feel bad, but I mean, like, you see other people who are just way worse situations. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, you want to talk about bad luck. There was in Italy, there was just a tram car that you hear that? The brake failed?
I did not hear about
12 people in it. Like, they're on a riot scenery, boom, and like
it's all over.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, I'd gladly give up my $500,000 to not be involved in that.
And having your health and just being able to do this. So I get that. So I totally, but that doesn't make it any better when and as I would tell my wife a lot, it's like, when you set out for a goal and that's all you want, that's your focus, and you're like, I'm going to get there, and then you look back, and as I told I didn't leave my other profession, give that up to be and not that I'm not saying this in a bad way, but just I didn't want to be like just a New England touring, what I am now.
Right.
I didn't want to do what I'm doing now.
So
I didn't want to be doing.
Right. You were like, that's
I'm a creator.
what happens in the
I wanted to do shows
phase.
and write shows, and I wanted to be where that is, because that's what I really wanted to do as well.
So
along with stand up, because I love stand up.
Eliminated that option from your mind at this point? There's
TV?
none of that. Like being in LA, being on the scene, writing for things.
Well, now, man,
this.
I mean, everyone's fleeing LA and the cities. I mean, I think I'm probably.
How about leaving small town New Hampshire to be where the scene is?
It's
is there
all
a
about
benefit to that?
There could be career-wise, but it's all about my kids now, right? It really is. I mean, that's why, as I sit here today, I'm not sitting here today depressed. I mean, I'm sitting here going,
got the kids.
I don't forget the story and I tell
Next
it. And
phase,
it's about them now, and it's but it's funny. I was doing a joke on stage now where I tell my wife how I tell the story about how I was there, and then 06 she says, yeah, let's move to New Hampshire, the place where Walter White from Breaking Bad goes to hide from the feds. Let's go there for your career. That's going to be a good career move, right? And then I say I always wanted to be back here, but I wanted to wait another 5 or 6 years. And my wife says to me, she says, well, if we did that, we wouldn't have had the kids. And I'm like, well, we could have still had kids. And she says, yeah, but they wouldn't have been these kids. And I'm like, maybe they would have been better than these kids. So
room for improvement. I'm seeing it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the one calls me stupid, dumb, dad, loser, idiot every day, the youngest. But all kidding aside, I mean, that's me taking it and making humor out of that situation. But look, you want it all. I mean, in a perfect world, I would have done both. I would have had my career to level. And why do I want my career to level? It's all about, then I get to spend more time with my kids.
So is there,
you know what I mean? So it's all about my kids and being able to do stuff for them at the end of the day. So
right. But there's the battle with I guess a battle with ego, something that makes you want to further succeed in that world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand it. You want you want your peers to respect you and realize what you do. And when I bump into people, the few times I go to LA or New York now, and I see people, a lot of people are like, what happened? Why did you leave? Like, the people can't believe I left. Like, I took myself out of the game, and so I have to live with that, and I do live with it, but it doesn't mean I'm going to be happy about it,
Let's make you, you're happy, but this might increase levels of happiness. Would you care for a gift?
I'll take whatever I can get, man. I was hoping for gas money, but I'll take a gift. What do we got here? What is this? Is this? Do you do this for everybody?
Unique. I don't do. No, everything I'm doing is just for you, Justin.
Oh my gosh!
Open up. Let's see what's in there. Come on.
Oh, it's a care package.
Look is a care package because I care about you.
IPO. The river. Look at this. This is awesome.
Some oats overnight.
Nice. Enjoy your life, man.
Look at that, a sweatshirt.
You know what? I was meant to be here.
You were meant to be here. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you in the eyes.
I was.
I was probably meant to be here. I think we like each other.
And by the way, I don't want to leave without talking about TM.
We won't leave. We won't. We won't let that happen.
Yeah. But this is awesome. Yep. I got a gift. Enjoy your life, which is great. I mean, your energy's great. I mean,
Thank you.
When I lived in Los Angeles, there was a woman there named Florence who was.
I remind you of Florence?
No, you remind me of Florence.
Yeah, call me Flo.
She looked a little better, but no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Look, I'm roasting you. Look.
Thank you.
She would always say, she had the best attitude. She was 94, and every time you said something that was bad, she'd go, well, so what? She'd always say, well, so what? Like, it's like, who cares? Like,
nothing
so
matters.
What? Nothing matters.
At all.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. So this stuff's awesome, and I'm going to re-gift this, and I got Christmas gifts all picked out. This is unbelievable.
Wonderful.
No, I'm kidding.
See, I'm helping recoup the...
Yeah, no, thank you. This is great. This is great.
So, our mutual friend, Dave Russo, who we love, Davey boy.
Dave is the reason. Did he tell you that he saw me do comedy and like I was one of the ones that inspired him?
Wow.
At the Comedy Palace. He saw me. Yeah.
He definitely told me that when we were chatting here.
Yeah, but
he holds you in a high place.
Yeah, here's the problem with that. When someone sees you, because I think they see you and they go, I'm funnier than that guy.
Yeah, this guy's making it.
Exactly. So I always never know how to read that. You know what I mean?
Dave was wondering who you consider some of the toughest acts to follow throughout your career. You saw somebody perform before you. They're supposed to be opening for you.
Well, definitely wasn't Russo.
No, of course not.
Russo's
Dave.
a good setup, man. Russo's a good setup.
Put you in position for the layup. Here we go.
Oh, man. Sometimes it's not
Has it happened? Like oh my God, I have to go on now? That guy just crushed.
Yeah, I've gone up. I mean, I've gone up after like Chris Rock and like people would pop into the comic strip. You know what I mean? Or Seinfeld had come in one night. I can't even remember.
Come on.
I've been bumped by a lot. When I was in New York, I can't even remember how many I was bumped to.
Same night, same stage as Seinfeld?
No, not same night, same stage. No. And I'm trying to remember. And it's... So, I mean, and that's just in its own weird thing. When you see somebody that famous go up, it's just, I always enjoyed the crowd reaction when they don't know they're coming on. I was down with, I was with Amy Schumer, and I brought her up on stage. I was actually working with buddy Kyle Dunnigan at the time, and she came down to watch our show. And we brought her up, and I just didn't, just to watch the crowd go nuts. When I go, she just wants to come up here real quick. Amy, I just think I just said Amy. And as she's walking, they can see, that's Amy. And they like going nuts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I love seeing all of that.
Makes your set better, too. People are like, oh, this guy.
But, I mean, look, I have pretty much anybody that, when you say hard to follow, sometimes it's when you're going on the show, first of all. Anybody that kills late in a show and you're going after them and it's late, I mean, that's just a tough spot.
Right.
I mean, there's Boston guys you wouldn't want to go after. There was an old thing with the Comedy Connection in Boston that, the national acts would come in.
Yeah.
And as the story goes, is they would always put the killer Boston guys on to open for these guys because they'd blow the room up and it would just make them have to work, so they wouldn't ask for as much money.
Right.
Because these guys could, so...
so clearly everybody was here to see Justin, and then I came on, and people started walking out.
But, I mean, you didn't want to go... I mean, look, back when I started, I mean, you didn't want to go after... Dane Cook was here. Like, Dane Cook would kill the room. You know what I mean? Like, that's back when I started.
Just shared some messages with Dane Cook.
Yeah,
he responds to everybody. That's his thing.
Yeah, Dane was amazing. I mean, he was such an amazing performer, and he just would. I mean, we would say the room was in L.A. We used to say the room was cooked. We'd call the room cooked. You know what I mean? Because it was so you don't want to go up after. Yeah, you don't want to go up after that. But a lot of these Boston guys, Kevin Knox, the late rest in peace. Kevin Knox he would go up and would just destroy and any of these Boston guys, can be hard to follow depending on when they go on the show and when you go on. So, I mean.
So, in this world of comedy, obviously it's jokes. You have to be developing material, right? So, tell me this, like in an average show, what's the percentage of new material versus material that you have previously used?
Well,
it's a rough idea. Well, is it 50-50? Is it 80% used?
Well, I think I'm in a unique situation, and I'm not saying that I'm happy that I'm in this situation, but I've put myself in this situation for the last almost 10 years.
Justin, you are happy. You are happy, okay?
But what I've done, I've been doing this yearly show in Portsmouth, a year in review at the Portsmouth Music Hall.
Oh, yeah.
And last year it was before COVID, we did 4 shows, so like 3,600 people. So 4 sold-out shows. So it's been building.
That's beautiful.
The problem with building this year in review show is that all year I have to start over and work on new stuff because I don't really repeat anything from that one to that
showcase,
one. Okay,
right? Because you got the same, I'm sure, a lot of the same people coming out again.
That's how it keeps growing, and they know it's going to be different. So that being said, a lot of the stuff is I haven't tried until that weekend. A lot of it, believe it or not, a lot of it's not ready yet. A lot of it's half baked. Some of it's good, but it's just this big. So because I put myself in that situation, which is a good payday for me, so I keep doing it. I don't know much longer I can sustain it, but I keep doing it. So when I go back to these theaters every year, so let's say the Palace in Manchester, I do every October.
Yeah.
I try to do, if I go back to the same venue a year later, I wait a year, I try to do 80% different than what I did the year before.
I got you. So it's like a venue-based situation. Yes. So on one tour, you are likely doing pretty much the same set as you travel on
within that year. Yes. Within that year, yes.
And then when you go back through.
And then when I kind of go back through, I've turned it. And it doesn't mean I won't pick a joke or two, an old one from 3 or 4 years ago, or
work in some
bring some of that.
Hot topic, something that's happening in the room.
But I do always go to, every week I go to an open mic, actually in Salisbury, called the Winner's Circle.
Really?
Every Tuesday night, and I go with a new 7 to 8 minutes, and some of it's not even.
That's like 4 minutes.
It's right there. It's a great spot. They've been doing it for 12 years. I've been on stage
Tuesday one night
over 300 times. Tuesday nights. It's all just me throwing stuff against the wall. Half of it I'll never do again. And lie. Half of it I'll never do again.
Laugh.
So, but it's been without that. It's been so valuable. And we're starting a Wednesday night showcase. This is going to be a booked pro showcase with all kinds of the biggest names in Boston comedy. We'll be doing this.
The Sweeneys.
You know what? I don't know if I can get Sweeney. I don't know if I get Sweeney, but Sweeney will be asked to do it. But we've got like Jimmy Dunn, Tony V, Frank Santarelli. Whoever we can get. We're only doing a Early will do it. We'll get. Yep. You had her on, right? Yeah, she's great.
She actually rescheduled her appearance, so I haven't sat with her yet.
Oh, okay. She's great. Yeah. So we'll get all these people.
I've hung out with her before. I did like the intro for her, something in Boston.
Got it. Yeah, she's a sweetheart. Yeah, very talented. And it's going to be at the Grog in the downstairs at the Grog.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to make it this room, but that's going to be a room
Grog
where
in Newburyport, Mass.
Newburyport, Mass.
Love
downstairs.
This.
But
yeah.
In between these other acts, we're going to book. I'm going to go in and do 10 minutes of new stuff that I'm working on, just to have good stage time.
Of course.
So I'm starting that room for the reason of trying to
see if people will chomp at the bits, the new bits.
And here's another thing. About me that
let's hear another thing about you.
I won't watch. Like I won't be in the room for the other. Like I don't watch comedy because I have to turn over so much crap every year.
Yep.
That I don't want to hear. I don't want to be
influence. Yeah.
I don't want to be like, oh, he's doing a bit about the granite countertops. I was working on one. He's going to think that maybe did I see his? Did I? You know what I mean? So I just don't watch any, and it's just my own thing because I don't want to feel like I accidentally pick something or anything get weird. So I don't watch.
Do you sit down and have allotted time where I'm gonna write out some jokes now, or is it constantly like you have your gadget, your phone or whatever, and you're taking notes of things, or are you up
constantly
chain smoking butts and pulling out your hair and trying to write stuff, forcing it?
Nope. Constantly, I constantly look here, like in my notepad. Like, today.
What's the most recent one there? Let's hear it today.
The most recent thing I wrote was I had to perform yesterday for a bunch of seniors, senior class, graduates.
Okay, high
and I
school,
just said, so many seniors. I'd rather have senior citizens than seniors in high school. Like, so many seniors, non-seniors.
Yes.
So I just wrote a little thing there so that when I go to the older people, maybe I'll be like, oh, it's great to see so many, non-senior, senior citizens, whatever I'll do with that. Yep. But I'll work. But that's just it could be a note like that. Or it would go to this. This is a bit I just wrote. Wanted my dad to chaperone when I was a kid, but they do a background check. I didn't know they do a background check, so there was a warrant for his arrest. So I signed him up. There's a warrant for his arrest. Okay. Next day, he got arrested. Then he was mad at me because I turned him in. It worked out because the field trip was to the jail or / police station. So he kind of was the chaperone, but he couldn't go everywhere with us. He could only stay in his area. And I got the $500 reward, and I bailed him out. So it had a happy ending. So that's like
good.
That's something I'll do next week at the Tuesday. You know what I mean? So just play that out. So yeah, that's it. And I write them. So that's what I do. And some of them. Will stick, some of them won't.
Never. There's no stealing jokes. You've never walked a thin line of like, I'm going to use someone else's joke. That's frowned upon, right?
It's totally frowned upon, and to me, it's like it's like a bad cop.
Carlos Mencia, is that the guy that everyone accuses of this? You're not going to say anything.
I don't say anything. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not a comedian. I can bring that up.
I mean, parallel thinking is what it is, and things can cross. And I'll tell you this: I've done a joke where I've dropped a lot of jokes, and I did a joke. I've never seen Kevin Nealon stand up. I've only seen him on SNL. And I had worked with him a few years ago, and he went up and did a joke. I had been doing the joke maybe 6 months. It was a newer joke of mine, but it was so similar to it. I'm like, if you would have thought that I would have seen him, like one of us would have seen the other one possibly. Yeah. But I mean, I dropped it immediately. I mean, if it's Kevin's doing it, but I mean, that was a parallel thinking thing. So I know that can happen.
Okay.
And then if I'm doing a joke and someone else is doing one, I usually just drop it because. Yeah, it's like a corrupt cop to me. A joke thief is like a bad cop. You know what I mean? It's like
I like this.
You're cheating. There's something inside you. There's something inside you that's just. If I'm leaving my family every Tuesday to go try this new stuff out. I'm driving 2 hours sometimes to try new stuff out. If you're gonna just lift it from me after I work on it and get it to work, like that's just the lowest.
You anyway.
It's just
low.
That's
not a good thing.
Yeah.
With being a comedian comes this freedom to make light of serious and sensitive topics. Mm-hmm. Is this accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, for people in all areas, all walks of life, is that something that, like, you appreciate that freedom? Is it some sort of, you kind of get to throw your opinions out there in a comedic way, and it's acceptable, whereas people walk about in regular life and have to hold these little funny things that grow in their heads inside.
I would challenge how acceptable it is now. You know what I mean?
So have you felt some...
oh, yeah. It's gotten bad.
So your jokes are a little more controlled, you're saying?
Dude, in the last... Well, first of all...
what?
If you go political... You pick your side, you're going to lose the other side completely. So if you can,
can't do that.
I mentioned Amy Schumer. You can split your audience. She can afford to.
Yeah.
I can't split my audience. Yeah. I don't really want to split my audience. I don't like people arguing. I don't like people fighting. I'm a unifier.
Yeah,
I really am.
Yeah.
I'm about unity.
Yeah.
Like this whole thing, I'm about solving problems rather than just yelling blame and just name calling and all that.
Resolve.
Yeah, how can we make it better? I mean, that's my hidden passion probably is trying to fix things. But I've got, in the last month, my social media people have posted some clips of mine. And there was one about, you know what? Why don't I read it to you right now? Just because I took a screenshot of this one. Let me see if I can find.
You in a little bit of trouble?
Well, I'll just tell you what the...
a little risky.
It was a joke about the title on the thing was how PC culture ruins our kids or something.
Oh, gosh.
And
it'll help it get some traction, the title.
So,
but I could see the opposition.
Hold on. Here we go. Let me see. Oh, where'd it go? Oh,
Come
man.
on.
All right. Well, I'm hoping I could find this because this sums it all up. Oh, here it is. Okay, found it.
Let's hear it. Yep.
So I get this message from somebody, which I don't think ever would have happened in 2012 when I recorded it.
Okay.
I've always liked your comedy, but this dog whistle to tone-deaf white privilege steps over the line when it comes to mocking those who struggle with gender and race issues. Do better, please. So it annoyed me on many levels. The one is do better, please. Like you're the authority, this person.
Okay.
By the way, white
She's
person.
the county sheriff.
White person.
Okay.
Second of all, I'm not doing anything that... So I read this at the open mic night a few weeks ago, and I read it, and then I did the bit for the crowd.
Wow.
The bit is about me talking about how snowman. I was going to build a snowman with my kid, and they're like, my wife's like, it's my boy's like, I'm like, let's go build a snowman. He's like, you mean snow folk, Daddy? And I'm like, what? My wife showed me from the daycare. They sent a letter about language. We don't say policeman, we say police officer. It's gender neutral.
Yeah.
We don't say snowman, we say snow folk. So I'm like, Frosty
Snow
the folk. Yeah. So I'm like, Frosty the snow folk, right? So I'm making a joke about the absurdity of the snowman, snow folk.
Yeah.
If you have gender issues and that snowfolk thing is bothering you, I don't know. I mean, I guess I wouldn't do it now, but I mean, it was 2012. And then the racial thing, I go in for story time. I go sit Indian style. Well, we don't say Indian style anymore. I go, does anyone know what they say? Crisscross applesauce. Then I did a joke about crisscross applesauce. I didn't say anything about Native American. I just said we don't say it anymore. Like that's toned white. So it really pissed me off.
Yeah,
like,
I can see it. I can see the fire.
But I'm getting that.
You know what? You're so privileged.
Yeah. So I literally ran off, and so I'm probably doing this in my year interview show this year. By the way, this will be. I'm probably screen showing because I use slides.
Yeah.
I'm going to show it on the screen and then go off on it. But anyway, because you brought it up, and then let me tell you another one. So I do a joke about my vet. About going to the vet, how you know? No. I get a. Did I screenshot this message?
I love this.
I don't know if I put it in there. Did I screenshot?
These people are really getting at you.
Wait till you see this one. Oh my
gosh!
I think this was in my. This was on my thing. This is. Let me see this messages. This is great. This is a good
great.
One. And then never. And I wrote a big apology, by the way, too. You know, I wrote a big apology
to all these people, and then you go out and do shows.
Man, where did this go?
Jokes about it. Oh, you're so PC.
Hold on, it's crazy. Oh, here it is. Okay.
Let's go.
So I get this message about a joke about how the vet, they give the pet your last name. Paco McKinney is ready to be seen. I'm like, he goes by Paco. I'm not the biological father. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm like, they do that so whatever it costs, it's your part of the family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everyone panics about going to the vet now because of how much it costs, right? So I'm talking about the cleaning the teeth, the flu shot, all about the vet, right? So I get this message. Please see my post about your video. This is highly offensive and ignorant on your part. Please call me stupid privileged person, as I have only worked my ass off to provide you with a cheap, highly available service. Please tell me that I started work at 4-year-old and 13 years of higher education is shit. More years of 100+ hours weeks than you can even count. Thank your vet! Exclamation points. Tell me off. Thanks for contributing to the suicide of my colleagues. People like you bring the hate to the world. That's what I'm getting over my vet thing. So you tell me why I'm drinking an IPA with you tonight in this garage. And this is someone 29 years old. I had everything going for me, sitting on money.
Get that message.
Destined for stardom. And I'm in this garage talking about this. Can you believe this?
Hey, I love you, all right? That lady, she doesn't. It doesn't matter.
And
She's an extremist.
I wrote this really nice thing back, apologizing. I love my vet. I talk to my vet. It's a blah, blah, blah.
It's a joke.
My dogs.
Hey, I'm telling jokes.
My dogs are on 10 medications twice a day. It costs me. I put $100,000 for these dogs. So, you know what I mean?
I support vets.
Oh, man. So, anyway, I'm sorry. We kind of
Now you're hanging out at a family party, right? Do they come up to you and say, hey, tell me a joke?
Not at a family party, because I've been doing it for so long. They're kind of
brush over it. They're not like, hey, Justin, I saw your special. Oh, you're so good, honey. Does that happen?
They're supportive. My dad's my biggest fan now. I told you my dad's been sober for 13 years.
Yeah.
So he's always there'll be something posted and he'll be like, oh, I like that new bit about that. I'm like, Dad, that's old. You've seen that before. You were there that night. I taped that. He's like, oh,
I was wrecked.
He's forgetting. Yeah. No, he was sober then. Yeah, he's been sober since my kid's been born. My kids don't know my dad as a drinker. He shows up at their birthday with balloons. I'm like, he was blown into a breathalyzer when I was a kid.
Wow. So let's talk about, for one, personal health and well-being. Do you take care of yourself? I'm changing topics quickly.
Well, it's funny you say that.
You take care of your body and your mind.
I do in the sense of I try to eat pretty well, right? I try to eat pretty well. I try to move, exercise. But
give me an idea of eating pretty well. 2 sentences. What does that consist of for you? Eating pretty well.
Limited red meat. Rarely fried foods.
Okay.
Not too much sugar. Vegetables. Try to eat a lot of vegetables every day. This Daily Harvest company I go from, it's all like veggie. I supplement that with my regular diet. So.
All right. Exercise. What's the exercise? Well, 2 sentences on that. What are you doing?
Well, I was going to Planet Fitness. A little bit of an issue. I tore my meniscus mulching.
Oh yeah.
So I'm rehabbing that.
Mulching?
Mulching out in the mulch bed. Yeah, with the
shovel.
Mulch. I was stepping on the shovel.
What you're saying, yeah.
Tore the meniscus. Skiing. Hurt my shoulder. It's frozen. I'm in PT right now for my shoulder. My back, I'm in PT. I just started from PT for my back. Want to hear what happened to my back real fast?
Yeah, you're a mess.
My cousin, 300-pound cousin, I hadn't seen him in a while, picks me up, bear hugs me, shakes me, right? Throws something out upside. I go to the chiropractor.
Did you know immediately?
I just knew something was wrong. It was like all bothering me up. So I go to this chiropractor.
What is with these big people in the bear hugs?
I know. Forget about it. It was before COVID. This was 2 years ago. If it was COVID, it would have saved me. I would have been 6 feet. I would have been. My back would be fine right now if it wasn't for if COVID had hit earlier.
Yeah.
Right. Timing. So anyway, but where it hurt, where I believe it hurt me was when I went to the chiropractor, because he was doing an adjustment where he puts my legs up and puts them to the side. I had a wallet digging into my hip. So I said, hold on.
Come on.
I'm not lying. So I went to reset. I turned this way when he adjusted that way. And I'm like, something's up there. Long story short, I couldn't walk for 3 days. And now my back, and it was better, but it's flaring back up. So my leg's getting numb, my whole right leg and my foot. So when you talk about health, it's like I'm PT, I'm posture. I'm trying to, like, this chair's killing me. I'm not going to lie. Wow. In fact, yeah, just because of the, got the lumbar support. I just flew to Vegas. It's like I had to roll up a thing and put it,
Oh my gosh, that's where you're at.
So that's my body. My mind, you asked about,
there's some new peace in your life.
I was in June of, it would have been June of 2019. I was in about as low a place as I've been. Mm-hmm. Just having a lot of trouble sleeping, waking up every hour on the hour, the whole live in the past, the woulda, coulda, shoulda, what did I do, this and that. The pressure. The pressure of me coming up with that show I told you about every year, it's not, I get done a show, and if it goes amazing, I should be happy, but I'm like, I got to come up with another one for next year? Like, it's depressing. It was depressing. It's just, I can't, it's too much on my mind. It's like, if I feel like you're selling my house, moving into an apartment, like just not dealing with the place I've put myself in, the position. So anyway, long story short, I went in and I saw my buddy Dan Crone. He's a Boston comedian, very funny guy. He'll be doing the Newbury.
Dan Crone.
Yep. He saw me one night in Boston at the studio, and he's like, man, I looked like hell all over my face. He's like, oh, how you doing? I'm like, oh man, I'm not sleeping, up every hour. He's like, got to try TM. And it's funny, I gave him a plug on Mark Maron's podcast. I did WTF with Mark Maron.
Yeah.
And he said to me, he goes, you got to do TM, man. And I go, Transcendental Meditation? He goes, yeah. I goes, I've heard of that. Like Stern does it and Seinfeld, but I can't relate to those guys. And he just told me, he goes, changed my life. He goes, I would have paid 10 times the money, right? 10 times the money what it cost. And this is coming from somebody I know.
Listen to this,
I know his situation. So I'm like, you know what? I was just in the right place at the right time, kind of like being here with you tonight. So I went in
so sweet.
Next week, I went in, and I've been doing it for 2 years, and it's been ever since, twice a day.
Explain what exactly, like the process. What's going on? What do you do?
Well, TM, it's a meditation, but it's nothing to do with the breath. It's a mantra that's thought in the mind.
Yeah.
And I had done the apps for years, and those were good to maybe make me go take a nap, whatever.
Yeah.
They're better than nothing. Breathing's better than nothing. Doing that stuff. But this particular one, for me, it was like just a recharge, reset, helped my sleeping. I'll sleep 5 hours in a row now, which I was never doing. So it's just been a lifesaver.
Give me an example of one of the mantras.
Well, I can't give you that. I'd have to kill you, right? It's that whole thing. Well, you can't repeat the mantra. You're not supposed to repeat it. And I'm just going along. Look, I don't want to break the rules.
So when
don't put me in a weird situation. Let's say it's something like I'm going to give you om or something om, like it's a sound. It's not a word that means anything.
Okay.
So if it's something like om, yes. So all you
om,
it's like om. Would probably be om, and then you're saying it om, and then you break, and then you're just thinking it om. You're thinking it. You're thinking it. You're thinking it, and thoughts are okay. Thoughts are just, thoughts are part of your body releasing stress. You have thoughts, but eventually you get to the point where the thoughts go away. Then you let the mantra fade, and it literally goes to nothing. And then you get so relaxed, your body releases another thought. You go back to the top of the circle, and you do it all over again. And you just keep transcending doing that cycle for 20 minutes. There's no pressure. There's no expectations. You just do it, and it's a power nap. It's basically a power nap for your brain.
And you're feeling some great positive results from this.
I'm not underestimating this when I feel like it kind of saved my life. I really do. Yeah.
You'd pay 10 times the amount.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. That's just me, but I don't preach it. Everyone's got their own stuff.
So. Well,
we've done good. See,
we've done a great
I can talk
thing
so
here.
much that it's like we can go so many spots.
Let's do this. Because we've discussed the past a fair amount here.
Yeah.
With limited touching on the future. What does the future have in store for you? What are the goals right now? Where you were saying 20 years ago or so, you had the goals of getting on to the Tonight Show. Like right now, as far as your career, what are the goals?
I don't know.
Do you have them set?
I don't know that I've got really career goals other than just going forward and just enjoying the moment more and just doing my thing and taking care of my kids and my family. Yeah. So it's a situation of, I'm at that age now where I'm actually starting to look at, what am I going to do with retirement? Like, when can I retire? So it's almost like just, it's just I'm just enjoying it. I'm not thinking so much about the career.
Great. That's pretty much the best answer possible.
Yeah. So it's just I'm just keep creating, keep doing stuff, and be there for my kids. I bring them to school and pick them up almost every day. And, I don't want that to change. If I got to, I've been offered to audition for like these travel shows and stuff, all that, so-and-so thinks should be good for this. And I'm like, I'm not going to go for 3 months. I'm not going to miss my kids 3 months of seventh grade.
No.
You know what I mean?
How old are the kids?
A show. 11 and 13 now.
11 and 13.
So they're prime age. Like the next few years are big.
I'm not leaving for months at a time.
Now in 3 or 4 years, maybe that changes. But the next 3 or 4 years, like while they're at this age.
Critical.
I don't want to go into
years.
Yeah, I got to go take care of him now. I mean, I'm excited to go see him.
Of course. So I asked you to come here to this show. Is this accurate?
Yes.
So there are a couple of reasons that happened. The first one is, and you might not believe this, but from afar, I watch people and I see them succeed based upon something that they've created in their head. They take a thought, they make it real, they pursue it, they take their passion and make it a credible reality that could provide for them to live. And I admire that. You have pursued your passions as opposed to just, for lack of better expression, falling into line with what's available for you. That's incredible. I hope that when you think about yourself and everything that's happened in your life that has happened, that you recognize that you had ideas and you acted on them, and that in itself is incredible. I love you for that. That's the first reason.
Thank you.
You accept?
I accept that.
Yeah.
I accept that.
The second thing is, man, you can have these kinds of successes, go about your life, and end up being a different kind of individual. But that's not your style, Justin. You're a good person. You actually have positive benefit for the world and the people that are around you. I didn't know you before this moment tonight. Everyone that's seen this has seen ultimately all of the conversation we've ever had. And I can tell from my experiences with you that you're an open, welcoming, kind, loving person that is ready to have a great moment. That's the second reason. I respect you.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
I think that that's that is. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like what are you on the inside? Are you a good person? And I try to be.
Yeah. That's it. I wanted to give you some roses while you could smell them. Tell you this while I look you in your eyes.
I appreciate it.
You're a good dude. Coming from me, whatever it's worth, I'm excited for you, man.
Yeah.
You've done a great thing. All right?
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Next thing. Quick game. Want to play a game? We can play a game.
Yes.
It's quick. You have the time.
I do.
Trust me. Here we go now. I'm going to clap my hands so it seems like it's really exciting.
Okay.
The game is called Fast, Fun, and Not So Smart. Okay? It's fast, it's fun, it's not so smart.
Okay, I like the not so smart.
This is Fast and Fun and Not So Smart with Juston McKinney. Best comedy club in New Hampshire. You're thinking too much.
The Palace. It's a theater, but it's the Palace.
The Palace. Hummus or hamburgers?
Hamburgers.
If you had to eliminate one state in the United States of America, what state would it be? Come on.
Oh, man. You're going to make me. This is alienating.
I'm making you do that. Here we go.
That's a political trick question.
Is it? All right. We don't have to do that.
Let's do Rhode Island because it's small.
Favorite female comedian? Here we go.
Sarah Silverman.
Sarah Silverman. What's your favorite booze drink?
Favorite booze drink? Tequila.
Here we go. You happy you came here tonight?
I'm really happy. I'm really happy.
My game fails often, but I keep trying it. I keep going with it. It's just not really working. I hope you enjoyed it.
It's good. Yeah, it's good. Well, it's funny, those fast things, because, you come out and you're like, I should have said this or this or that. You let me think about it.
But people just throw states
out there. But when you go that fast, well, look, if you say California, if you say Texas, in Florida,
you'd be getting one of those messages. Saw you on that show saying Texas should be gone.
That was a trick, man. That was a trick.
Going to suck you into more messages to ruin your life for a couple moments. Well, it's been a pleasure having you here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
What do we do to get people to connect with you out there in the social media world?
It's Juston McKinney, but my name is Juston with an O, Juston McKinney.
Yes.
And it's Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, YouTube.
Definitely take the time, connect at Juston McKinney. O-N, that's what I'm saying, Juston. I love you, man.
Thank you as well, man. I appreciate it. I can tell you have a really good a vibe about you. You know what I mean? And a really good. I think it's beautiful what you're doing here. This is what it's all about.
I really enjoyed my time conversating with you, and I appreciate you being here. That's it. You good to go?
We would have been great if we were on a plane ride together, sitting next to each other. You know what I mean? I would have told you the whole story.
What is wrong with these guys up here?
4-hour flight, man.
They were laughing. They were crying.
Yeah.
They were doing. That's it, y'all. Thank you so much to Juston McKinney for being here. This is Offering Something. I am Michael Bernier. I love you for watching the show. We are about to check on out of here.